How you doing? I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Today I got a question about what would my motivation be if I didn't have children. The question was, if your son wasn't around, this is for the guys that don't have kids yet, what's your solid ground when you wake up in the evening? You know, if I didn't have this, I'd find another motivation. I mean, I don't know what my motivation would have been at the beginning. I can't say for sure that, it was that thing that kicked me over the edge, that really pushed me to quit, was my son, So I can't really say for definite whether I would have quit at that time or whether I'd have waited longer. If I'd have waited longer, it could have been something completely different that motivated me to quit. Maybe it would have been a visit to the doctor saying, look, you've got something wrong with you and you sort of have to quit now. Do you know what I mean? My father was a big thing, a big motivation throughout my life. He was always a hard worker. He sort of motivated me to become a better person, to work hard, to read a lot, to learn, and to sort of learn the things that I wanted to learn. He was one of the first people that pointed out to me that you didn't need a college education to get through life, that a lot of the times when you go to college that you're learning a lot of stuff that you don't need to know, right? So he was a big motivation for me to sort of learn, to start out reading self-help books. He was the person that gave me my first self-help book, which was what was it called now? The Magic of Thinking Big, by Tony Schwartz. I think it was Tony Schwartz. Anyway, I'll put the link here. Oh, that's the link. And later in life, I think my dad motivated me through his own ill health. He had problems throughout his life with a lot of different things. He had a heart attack when he was in his early 50s, around my age. He had arthritis. He had a brain tumor at one stage, and he had to have that cut out. And he was always overweight, I think, since he was 30 odd, And he was brought up with the notion that you couldn't leave anything on your plate, right? That you had to eat everything that was on your plate, and once you had a good appetite, you were healthy. So eating was a big thing for them. And of course, when you look at the diet that they had back then, I mean, there was when my father was born in the 1930s, it was a lot different of a world. You had to walk everywhere. There was a lot more manual work. There wasn't as much entertainment around, so people didn't sit down as much. My father talked about being out walking with his father, which we did a lot of when we were kids. Cycling everywhere. He had a bike. His father cycled everywhere. Although he had a car, my grandfather was in the police in Dublin. The Garda Síochána. He was in the Phoenix Park, part of the presidential police unit there, and he had a car as part of that job, but he also had a bike and he cycled around, so and it wasn't actually until my father, when we were kids, we had intermittent cars. We weren't we didn't have a lot of money in the family, and as with having a big family, my mother didn't work. She looked after the kids. There was 9 of us all together. My father had to do sometimes a couple of jobs, so that took a toll on his life. But, when he was in hospital for his second heart attack, and this was a few years ago, so it was, I think, the same year that I quit drinking, in May of that year. He was, the doctor said that he'd, a lot of the problems in his body was because of his diet. So if I hadn't quit that January, maybe I would have quit later on in the year, right? So whether or not, when I'm talking about my father in this way and the food that he's eating, I'm talking about him with a lot of affection, because he was a product of his time. The same thing as we are. Anyone who's drinking is a product of their time. You drink because This is what we're programmed to do. This is what we were, when I got to 18 years of age, it was a rite of passage to become a man. And you felt like a man when you were able to go into a pub and buy your first drink. It was a lot of the motivation for me drinking in the first place, way back when I was 12, 13 years of age, was because I wanted to feel like I was a grown-up. Not that I ever did anything, and all throughout the marketing companies or the alcohol companies will never admit that their marketing is aimed towards that end of getting children hooked onto the idea of drinking, so that when they do turn 18 that they will be drinkers for life, and then they don't have to market to you anymore, they just have to do some brand marketing, but overall the rot is set in, But you can also find motivation in opportunities, when I look at the amount of opportunities that are available to me now, as a 50-year-old man, right, living in the 21st century, it's just amazing, with so many different places that we can go, so many different things that we can do, educational opportunities, travel opportunities, just meeting with different people, entertainment opportunities. And when you're a drinker, a heavy drinker, your life is revolving around this one thing. And the more you drink, the more isolated you become from everything else, the more focused in on the alcohol and the alcohol behavior and the alcohol lifestyle you become. So, that's another possible motivation, right? Another one could be to think about your future children. If you're young and you haven't had children yet, if I could go back and quit drinking before I started having a family, before my child was born, then I probably would. But there again, I met my wife in a pub, and I wouldn't have had my son if I hadn't have done that, so you can't really go back and change that thing. But if there was advice that I'd give to somebody who was young, and is to quit drinking before you have a family, before you have the children, because I'm telling you now, it's a lot easier to do it, it's a lot easier to be able to pass on good lessons to your children when you're not doing it yourself, when you're not, you follow by example instead of following by telling somebody how to do something. They're never going to listen to you if you just tell them and you're doing it anyway. Another one is to follow your passion. What is it that you really want to do? And it can't be drinking, I mean, when I used to drink, I thought I used to be passionate about drinking, right? But as I said, that was the bullshit brainwashing. I was always succumbing to, it was always a part of my thinking, just the bullshit brainwashing. And I think if you can get a passion for something, if you have a passion for something and you can follow that passion to the nth degree, just keep going until you get to the place that you want to go. And everybody has got something that they want to do. So it's to find that and to pursue it at the end of the day. Look, I mean, nobody's going to be able to tell you how to find your motivation. I'll just say, my motivation for my son happened, the reason I stopped drinking was a very small thing that happened, but it just led me to think about things in a wider context, to see things from a different perspective. And once I saw things from that perspective, then it sort of scared me enough that I thought, I can't do this anymore. This is the one thing that is taken away from every other aspect of my life. And the more I thought about it, the deeper I thought about it, the more I was convinced of that. And that conviction became me quitting drinking alcohol. It sort of upheld my motivation. It inspired me to do it. It sort of made me persistent, dogged bastard that I wasn't going to quit in this, that I was going to continue with this, and I was never going to drink again because I saw the damage that I was doing, right? So, look, your own motivation is going to come from your own place. I can't tell you where it's going to come from. You have to really search it out. And it does come from really sitting down and thinking about the damage that alcohol is causing, the not only to your physical health, but to your mental health. Look at it from all different aspects, and I guarantee you that you can extract some damage that alcohol is causing from every different aspect of your life. And if you can't find motivation in that, then I can't help you. So that's it for today. If you have any questions at all, leave the comments down below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to come over to the website, we've just so much material over there now. There's over 600 videos on many different topics, from inspiration, motivation, how to keep up your persistence, how to overcome obstacles, how to deal with cravings and sleeplessness and all that kind of shit that you're going to deal with in the first 30 days. And also, which is important, I think one of the most important parts of this is what to do after the 30 days, what to do for the rest of your life, and how to deal with the rest of your life without alcohol. So we're all over there, we're waiting. There's a forum. I'll see you there. My name's Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Stay safe, keep the alcohol out of your mouth, onwards and upwards. Take care. All right, bye. Take care.